Hello everyone, my name is Chelsea Lauder and I am the Community Engaged Teaching and Research Program Associate in the Office of City and Community Engagement at Northeastern. This narrated slideshow is meant to be part one in a three-part series of videos designed to accompany other resources around building community partnerships in service learning and community engagement. In this video, I'll be covering the guiding frameworks and building blocks to building responsible partnerships in service learning, and set up a conversation for talking more on what this looks like in practice and what some of the barriers are. To start, I want to define the term community partner. This title is used to describe both an organization or the person engaging with the university through service learning. At Northeastern, we partner with any community-based organization that seeks to create community impact or is rooted in social change. This could look like a local school or another educational institution, nonprofit organizations, including hospitals and libraries, a neighborhood association, or even government agencies. We'll be more often named the broader organization as our partner. The staff liaison who is setting goals and interacting directly with the university are also referred to as our community partners. The majority of our community partner organizations are situated within the neighborhoods that surround the university. For Northeastern, we actually reside within every one of these four neighborhoods: the South End, Fenway, Roxbury, and Mission Hill. As we think about building partnerships with the community for impact and social change, it is important to stress that these neighborhoods already have assets and internal strengths. Our role as a university is not to fix their deficits, but rather highlight the already existing assets and support community identified goals. The asset-based community development model just defines this more succinctly. It is a framework for creating structures of change through centering community strengths and expertise. As I mentioned when defining community partners, there are many different levels and types of stakeholders in community engagement. I'm going to talk more about one framework used to identify the various stakeholders. The SOFAR model is a visual representation of the typical stakeholder network in service learning and community or civic engagement. As you may be able to see in this image, it stands for students, organizations, faculty, administrators, and residents. A key takeaway from this model, talked about in more depth in the core reading, is that the relationships within a service learning or university and community partnership are not linear. With the connecting threads, you can see how at any given time there's a connection and interaction between 2 to 3 stakeholders. This is important to recognize the complexity of partnerships and to set the stage for talking more about how power and positionality plays into these relationships. In the same core reading as the SOFAR model, the relationship continuum, which you see here, is shared and described. There's really not a gold standard for partnerships that works perfectly for everyone involved. And when we describe transactional and transformational partnerships, it's definitely important to realize that for some, the more one-off interaction is actually what helps a community partner reach their goals at a given time. That said, when thinking bigger picture about university and community partnerships, offices like our Office of City and Community Engagement are responsible for ensuring community partners have the option for co-creation and to build this partnership longevity. This image better describes some of the markers along the continuum to check for where a partnership may fall on the exploitative, transactional, and transformational partnership scale. According to the same article, in order for a partnership to move up to transformational, it must exhibit the characteristics of equity, integrity, and closeness. These 3 themes of partnership characteristics are really just an overarching representation of how we can work towards transformational partnerships. As mentioned, there's really no one-size-fits-all for service learning and community engagement, Each partnership is unique, and that uniqueness is so special. And these three characteristics are meant to help narrow down a bit more the possibilities of responsible partnership. So closeness refers to the frequency of interaction between partners and how those interactions influence the existence of shared goals. For example, you're more likely to have collective goals if you're communicating and problem solving together more frequently. And in this space, when we talk about equity, we talk about it when equity exists, when the multiple parties are presenting the same amount of collaboration within the partnership. This doesn't mean that it has to be one for one, but when you can clearly see that the input and output of all groups, so the partner, the faculty, the students, when you can see that their input and output contributes to the shared outcome, this is when you can see that you have partnership equity. With integrity, partnerships that clearly hold coherent and shared values are said to have this. This happens when partners define problems and come up with solutions together because the value behind the problem and the solution will match up. And that's where we see this type of partnership integrity. The three characteristics of closeness, equity, and integrity were identified and defined in this space by scholars in the field. While this is an important research and context for partnerships, it is equally as important to look at the characteristics of effective partnerships that have been identified by both community partners and practitioners, like the staff that work in the Office of City and Community Engagement. These characteristics of effective partnerships were derived from a research project done to learn more about community partner perceptions. The executive summary is a great resource for learning more about what this looks like in practice. And at Northeastern, we really like to highlight communication and building personal connections. So instead of treating your community partner liaison or faculty member as just a logistical point person for a student project or for having volunteers, we really encourage all group members to have open conversations about their motivations, their goals, concerns, and more. Past this initial conversation between a partner and a faculty member, you really have to ensure that your students are then informed and prepared to engage, and that all members of the partnership have access to resources. You can continue to explore the characteristics of effective partnerships and drawing the parallels to your positions and partnerships. And our office offers professional development and asynchronous resources that can help support you through the partnership process. To close, I want to say that while there is a lot of theory and research on how to be a good partner, it's really not as simple as 1, 2, 3. This work can be difficult and frustrating to balance the multiple perspectives and goals of various partners. At Northeastern alone, our semester schedule, rotating faculty members, and variety of courses all build barriers to having these rich and co-created partnerships. As much as our office tries to facilitate meaningful collaboration, the gold standard we mentioned before takes a lot of time and reflection. This narration pulls directly from a number of published articles and materials in the field of service learning, community or civic engagement, and beyond. If you do not already have access to any of these resources, please reach out and I would be happy to send them your way.